I'm just going to get right into it because I have a lot to share. 2 months is a long time. I flew out May 16th to go to Bulgaria. I flew into the capital city of Sofia and got there around 8 p.m. and then I drove to the city I was staying in and got there around midnight. Ended up coming back July 17th. It was the Monday of Nationals, so I've been back about a month now. And I really enjoyed my time there, and I'm excited to share with you all about it. I'm going to start by sharing some basic information about the country. That map did not show up very well at all. But so that map was actually a map of Europe, and you cannot see it very well, so I'll describe it. Everyone knows generally where Russia is, and then because of recent events, most people have a general idea of where Ukraine is. The southern border of Ukraine is the northern border of Romania, and then right below Romania is where Bulgaria is. It's right in that area, right where Europe and the Middle East meet. The culture is a Slavic culture, very similar to Russia. This is a map of the country. It's about 80% of the size of North Carolina. It's not a very large country at all. The city that I was in is Shumen, and it's about right there. The capital city is Sofia over here, and then Plovdiv right here is where the caches will be, or where they are right now, actually. Bulgaria is a country of about 6.5 million people, which is smaller than the population of North Carolina, so it's not very large. The entire continent of Europe is about the size of the continental United States. The first Bulgarian kingdom was founded in 681. So the country itself, or an entity called Bulgaria, has existed for about 1,300 years. So it's much, much older than the United States is. About 71.5% of the population claim to be Bulgarian Orthodox Christians, but that is just nominally. 99% of those people, if you ask them when the last time they set foot in a church is, they probably would say it's been 10 years. Some of them go maybe on Easter and Christmas. The churches themselves are huge, beautiful buildings, and they'll have maybe 10 people in them on a Sunday morning. So while most of the country claims to be religious, there's really no actual roots and real effect in the population of Bulgaria. Bulgaria was a communist state from 1946 until 1990. They were never officially part of the Soviet Union, but they were a puppet state controlled by the Soviet Union. And communism fell just a few months before it fell in the Soviet Union. I already said that. I was in the city of Shumen, which was originally the capital of the Bulgarian kingdom, and remained the capital for about 500 years after it officially formed. It's a city of about 85,000 people, so it's a pretty large city, but it's very compact, like a lot of cities are in Europe. It's around 50 to 60% Turkish. With that southern border with Turkey, there's a lot of influence of Islam and Middle Eastern culture in two areas in Bulgaria, mostly along the southern border with Turkey, obviously, and then there's a lot of Turks in and around the city of Shumen. Again, over half the population is Turkish, and that's one big reason why the missionary that I was with decided to go to Shumen, so he could witness to the Bulgarian people as well as the Muslim Turks. This is the family that I was with. I was with Josh Provo and his 5 kids. This is the picture. I did not have any great pictures of them because I didn't take a whole lot of pictures. So this is the picture from their IM page. This is about a year old. That's Josh. And then the 2 boys in front are Pavcho and Malachi. And then the 3 girls are Zoe, Phoebe, and Naomi. They are, Pavcho and Malachi are 7 and 9, and then the girls are 11, 13, and 14. So he's got his hands full. So my first week in the country, I got to Shumen. This is the street right outside of the house that I was staying in. That first week I got to do English Club and Alpha. English Club is, Josh has people from around the community. It's just an open invitation. Anybody that sees the sign can come to his house at 7 p.m. on Wednesday nights. and he has an English class just teaching the basics of English, because the population there does not speak a whole lot of English. Pretty much anybody that grew up under communism does not speak any English, but there's a good few young people who do, because of the influence of English music and TV and movies and things like that. So I got to participate in the English club, and then Alpha Group, which is a discipleship program that lasts for 16 weeks. That actually finished up while I was there, but it's a very good program. I got to experience on Saturdays, we would get up in the morning and go to a village called Bethel and do ministry there. We had a discipleship group in the home of a Turkish woman named Ruziye. That averaged maybe 3 or 4 people, but it was really good, and we really enjoyed doing that. And then the afternoons, we would go to Kaspichan, and this is always one of the highlights of my week. They had a group home there. One thing that is different about Bulgaria is legally a parent cannot lose the rights to their children. There's no law in place that allows the government to take children from their parents. So one large problem in Bulgaria is parents will abandon their children, but those children cannot be adopted because legally their parents still have guardianship over them. So there's group homes all over the country with children living in them that will never be adopted and cannot be adopted, and will live there until they're 18 and are sent out on their own. But we got to minister every week in one of those group homes in a village called Kaspichan. There were 12 kids there, and I really, really enjoyed spending time with them. I got to do the devotion for them several times. This next picture is from a mountain above the city of Shumen. That's most of the residential area of the city. That's where a vast majority of the people live. And there's a separate section of the city that's more of the industrial area, but that's where probably 90% of the people in the city live. This next picture is a monument that's up above the city. This was built in the 80s by the Soviets. It's a monument to the 1300th anniversary of the Bulgarian kingdom. So it was celebrating 1300 years of Bulgaria existing. That is the largest concrete structure in Europe. By volume of concrete, it's not the tallest or the widest, but by volume of concrete, it's the largest in Europe, and it is huge. But that is a big famous feature of the city. Week 2, I got to go and see a mansion that was built by the communist dictator. A few years before he was deposed, he started a project building mansions all over the country. He was actually building 6 mansions, and then halfway through their construction, he was ousted, communism fell, and those construction projects were abandoned just midway through. And now they're just in the woods, grown up. The one we went to, there was a trail to it. I do have a picture from on top of it. That's me and Josh's kids, and then one of my friends there named Eray. He's a Turkish man. This was not in my notes, but I feel like I should share it. Eray is the one in the raincoat right there. He is 34 years old, and he is the first Christian in the history of his family. The Turkish culture is very big on family history. He said he could go back in the records that his parents have and go back 20 generations. Like, he knows his ancestors. And he said he's the first ever Christian in his entire bloodline. His parents don't really let him talk about Christ. It's a very big superstition among Turks that it's evil and you will get evil spirits if you even open a Bible. But he's going through discipleship with Josh, and he's really growing in his faith. And it's really good to see him stepping out of that family history of Islam, and then in more recent generations, just nothing, and give his life to Christ. I met a whole lot of people week 2. Josh, we joked with him and said he knows everybody in Shumen, and it seemed like it. We met people, every time we went out, we would see 3 or 4 people that he knew. Most of them I didn't know. So I got to meet a lot of people. Week 3 was, that is a picture of me and the kids on the train going to Kaspichan. There's a saying that I was told by a whole bunch of Bulgarian people that Bulgaria is not very large, but the train system makes it seem much larger than it is. For example, there's a city that I visited that is about an hour and a half drive, and it took me about 4.5 hours to get back on train. So the trains are very slow. Most of them were from the Soviet era. But that's me and the kids on the train, and that man we did not even realize was in the train car until after we took the picture. It was very surprising. That is me in Kaskichan in the group home with the kids. I was actually sharing about David and Goliath that week. That picture is very blurry. This is from week 3. I got to go with a friend named Alex, and we hiked at a village outside of Shumen called Madara. Madara was the site of about 1,000 years ago. The Romans built a fortress on top of a mountain, and now there's hiking and trails all over the place there, and it's gorgeous. We hiked quite a bit that day. We ended up doing 16 miles, which was too much for me. I felt like my legs were going to fall off at the end of the day. But I really enjoyed it. I have a lot of pictures from there because, again, it's gorgeous. This is from the bottom of the main cliff face. I don't know if you can see from back there, but there's a bit of a rectangle right there. That's one of the fortress walls sticking out. This next picture is just the inside of a cave. There was a lot of caves there. The mountains of Bulgaria are very, very rich with caves. There's caves everywhere. This is actually in a cave that was used hundreds of years ago for people to store food in. There's now a bit of a, not quite sure what the word I'm looking for is. Yeah, kind of like a shrine, an Orthodox shrine where people go and they leave things and just pray there. This is the inside of another much larger cave. It's very hard to see. It's just as hard to see in person. I don't know if you can tell, but in this picture, there is a horse. That's its back leg, and then its body is here, another back leg, and the front leg's here. There's a man riding it, and then there's a lion behind them, right there. That was carved probably 1,500 years ago. It is about 70 foot up on a sheer 90-degree cliff face. And no one knows to this day how they carved it. There's no evidence of scaffolding being built. There's no holes cut into the rock for people to climb up on. No one knows how they did it. But that's another thing that the whole country of Bulgaria is famous for. That carving right there actually appears on most of their coins. This next picture is. It's hard to tell from the angle of the picture, but that boulder is about 8 foot tall, and those walls are about 5 foot tall. That boulder was cut flat on the top. That was the site that a cult used that participated in human sacrifice. It was used probably around 1,100 years ago, and that rock right there was the altar on which they sacrificed people to pagan gods. It was a very strange feeling being there. So we didn't stay for long. This next picture is a picture from on top of that same cliff that I took a picture from the bottom of earlier. The whole country of Bulgaria is very mountainous. The region that I was in had a lot of flat tops on the mountains, plateaus. But it's, again, very, very beautiful. These are more ruins from that same cult. This is the foundations of a lot of their buildings. That's the village of Madara. And then up here, you cannot see in this picture, but that's where the city of Shumen is, about 9 miles away. Week 4, I got to go up to Svishtov. I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with Tim and Lydia Autry, or have heard the names. They're our longest serving missionaries in Bulgaria. They've been there for over 20 years. Lydia is Bulgarian. Tim's from California. But I got to visit them and the city that they live in. It is on the very northern border of Bulgaria. That is the Danube River, which runs through all of Europe. I'm standing in Bulgaria, and then over there is the country of Romania. I got to spend a lot of time with the Autrys, spent about 4 days there. Got to participate in their teen group, have supper with them. If you ever get an opportunity to eat Lydia Autry's food, I highly recommend it. It was very, very good. Had a men's breakfast, got to walk around the city. One thing she encouraged me to do, and I am not encouraging you to do the same, but she said that we had to watch the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding. She made us all watch it that night after we went over for dinner. She said the culture represented in the movie is supposed to be Greek, obviously, but she said it's much more similar to Bulgarian culture. They're very loud. They say opa a lot for anything. That word can mean anything you want it to. But she loves that movie. She said she's probably seen it 100 times. And then at the end of that week, I took the train back to Schumann and started on my sermon prep. That was also in Svishtov. This is a picture of children doing traditional Bulgarian dancing in front of the city hall. That is outfits that they do these dances all the time. Any festival or any celebration they have at all, they wear those, and the kids do the traditional dancing. I don't have a video of it in this slideshow, but I encourage you to look it up when you get home. You probably won't watch for long, but it is pretty interesting to watch. This is me preaching in the church in Schumann. This was one of the highlights of my trip. I really enjoyed it. I preached over Acts 10, the story of Cornelius and Peter going to meet him, and the first salvation of Gentiles. I really enjoyed the opportunity I got. I learned a lot from Josh, and I got to get even closer to his church family. And then later on that week, we had a church retreat, and it's hard to see from that far away, I'm sure, but she got baptized. Her husband is not yet saved, so I would encourage you to be in prayer for him. Weeks 6 and 7 were just pretty. There were really no like big things that happened. It was a lot of just hanging out with friends and ministering in the community, doing English club and Alpha, and going to the villages and going to Kaspichan. One big thing that did happen week 7 was I got to teach English classes. This is the sign of the school that Josh teaches English at. I got to teach English classes there with some of the teenagers, and hopefully I'll be able to teach some online for them. But I really enjoy getting to teach English with them. My last week in Bulgaria, week 8, was camp. That was the big thing that happened. So all of our churches, we have 6 churches in Bulgaria, and they're all called New Life. So the church in Schumann is New Life Schumann, church in Svishtov is New Life Svishtov. You get the picture. Every year, all 6 of our churches in Bulgaria, ran by our IM missionaries, come together and do summer camp together. It lasts from Monday to Saturday, so it's a very long camp. But we had about 70 people there this year, and I've got to say this might have been my favorite week of the entire trip. We got to do a lot of ministry, participate in a lot of things. This is me and the Autry's son, and then another intern that was there, Silas, leading games. This is me in a group. We went to another city to just go shopping and stuff like that. That's my group. One thing that was pretty crazy was that they all spoke English, which was cool. This is me with the kids from Kaspichan. It's not a very large group, but some of the best news that I got all trip was this is a picture of the 4 oldest in the group home in Kaspichan. And him and the 2 girls, all 3 got saved while we were at church camp. Josh had been ministering there for about a year and a half, and they all insisted that they wouldn't talk to any other leaders, that they wanted to talk to Josh. So 2 of them had to wait a while, but they all gave their life to Christ on that Friday night of camp, and it was just a huge encouragement to everybody, and I look forward to hopefully seeing them again and encouraging them in their walk with Christ. This is a picture of my last day in Bulgaria. We went to Sofia, the capital, and took a lift and ended up walking up the tallest mountain in Bulgaria, which is called Vrakbotev. And this is some pictures from the top of it. This is from the lift that we took up. That's the capital city of Sofia. This is another picture. It's just the top of a mountain. It's nothing super special, but it's really pretty. This is a picture of me with the interns and one Bulgarian that went to me and Silas. One of the other interns were flying out on the same day, so they took us to Sofia so we could hang out for a little while before we left. This was one of the most impactful 2 months of my entire life. I learned a lot about what it means to be a missionary, about what just the daily life of a missionary looks like. And I thought this verse in 1 Corinthians, I came upon it when I was doing my devotions in Bulgaria, and this really just sums up the attitude that the missionaries in Bulgaria have. For though I am free from all, I've made myself a servant to all, that I might win more of them. those missionaries, they spend every second of their entire day ministering. Every bit of it. If they walk to the grocery store, me and Josh were walking to the grocery store, he saw somebody he knew, he would stop, ask them, hey, when are you coming to church? Or just ask them how their day is going, just building relationships. English classes that Josh taught, he was ministering to the people there. Just every single moment of every day is spent in just sacrificial service to God. It's not an exaggeration to say that their entire life is just serving God. I want to say thank you to our church and to everyone in this room who helped make it possible for me to go. I look forward to hopefully going back with IM next summer and seeing some people. Some of the prayer needs in Bulgaria. There was a man that I met named Val. He's 45 years old. He's about this tall, and he's bald, and he speaks perfect English. He has a master's degree in English, and he's very closed off. I hung out with him 5 or 6 times while I was there for hours at a time, and I barely know any personal information about him. He's very reserved, very closed off to other people. From what I do know about him, he's had a very difficult life. But Josh has known him for 6 years and been trying to get him to come to church and trying to get him to come to church. And when he heard that I was speaking, somebody was preaching in English, he decided to come for the first time, which was pretty intimidating for me. But like Josh says, the hardest time to get him in the door is that first time. And I found out he's been back to church the past 2 weeks in Bulgaria, in the city of Shumen, going to Josh's church. And I would just encourage you to be in prayer for him, for his salvation and for the Lord to work on him. Because he has a lot of far reach in academic circles. He's a professor at a college, and he could help reach a lot of people for Christ. I want to encourage you to pray for Josh and his children. Specifically Josh, he's a single dad with 5 kids. So he's got a lot on his plate, also pastoring and doing devotions and teaching English classes. He's very, very busy. So I just would ask you to pray for him, for his just continued encouragement, and for him not to be burnt out, and for God to continue to use him to minister and to witness to those Bulgarians. And I would pray that you would just, I would ask that you pray for the Bulgarian people as a whole. They are a very godless society. And it's not even the fact that they are anti-God. They're just very apathetic. They just don't care. Like Josh said, when he first moved to Bulgaria, he would stop people on the street and try to minister to them and witness to them and share Christ with them. And he said they would just stand there with a blank expression on their face, not say anything. And as soon as he was done, they would say, "Are you done?" He would be like, "Well, yes." And they would just walk away. They're very apathetic. They just don't care. And even some of them consider themselves members of the Orthodox Church. So they would consider themselves good with God. So I would just ask you to pray for the heart of Bulgaria. Pray for, of course, our missionaries there. And just continue to be in prayer for all of our churches and all that God is doing over there, because he is moving. I want to thank you for letting me share about my trip tonight. I really enjoyed it. And maybe I'll share again next year after I get back from going again. I'm going to pray, and then we'll be good to go. Or do you want to come up and end it? All right, I'll close this in prayer. Lord, I want to come to you tonight, and I just want to thank you for today. Thank you for all that you're doing through your people and through your servants in Bulgaria. I want to thank you that I got to be a part of that for 2 months. I want to thank you for this church and for these people for making that possible for me. And I just want to pray that you continue to be with all of our missionaries and all of your servants in Bulgaria. And I want to pray that you'll be with the Bulgarian people and just draw their hearts to you. I want to pray that you'll be with everybody here, get us home safe tonight. And I love you, Jesus, and I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Logan. I'm going to have Logan, as soon as we go off air, I'm going to do something we've been doing. Thank you for tuning in tonight. If you're watching online, appreciate you watching. Hope that you've enjoyed listening to Logan's presentation tonight. Hope that you'll be with us on Sunday. Remind you again, the time for life groups is 9:30. Then right here in the sanctuary for Education Sunday and back to school Sunday, this coming Sunday, 10:30. Thanks for tuning in tonight. May God bless you. Hope to see you on Sunday.